Hello, welcome back to the channel. I've got something a little different for you all today. My girlfriend and I have been rewatching Game of Thrones. Well, rewatching for me. It's her first time watching the show, so it's been a little interesting. But I haven't watched the show in 5 years, since season 8, the end, you know? And a lot has changed with how I've viewed the show, and having her watch it with me this time has opened my eyes to a few things as well, especially being able to watch her knowing that this is her first time watching the show. We haven't finished it yet. We are nearing the end of season 6, and I've noticed for myself the downfall seemed to have started a lot sooner for me this rewatch. Maybe it's because I knew what was coming and I could kind of think more critically on the show. But it started to kind of fall apart for me right at season 5. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, is a little bit of retrospective on Game of Thrones. So, I hope you all enjoy it. So a little bit of background for you all. I first watched Game of Thrones when season 7 was airing, and I really liked it. It was airing, I believe, 2018. Maybe I'm wrong, but I believe it was 2018. And at that point, I was 14 years old, which I was probably a little young to watch the show, but who cares, right? I really liked it up until the cliffhanger at the end of season 7. I thought it was a little weird that season 7 only had 7 episodes, but my dumb kid brain was thinking that season 8 would make up for it by being 13 episodes. Math. I don't know why I thought that, but I did. You definitely feel season 7 only having 7 episodes, but I thought they would be able to pull back, and I did enjoy the show. I didn't really have the critical mind that I do now, to see all of the stupid choices that they made up until that point. I thought that the trip to go get a walker was, okay. I thought it was fine, but now that I'm looking back on it, it was really only a way to get the Night King to have a dragon. It really didn't make any sense whatsoever, especially with season 8 having Cersei not come and help at all with, the war to end all wars, which, it really wasn't. It was a night of fighting. I enjoyed the show back then. I did. And then when season 8 aired, I thought that the first couple episodes were good, and I think that was the general consensus among people. There were a couple weird things, like the people from Castle Black making it to Winterfell before the Army of the Dead, and they survived. Whatever. I mean, that was fine, but it was weird. It was a little show of what was to come, I believe. And then the long night happened. That episode kind of broke me. I love zombies. I think they're awesome. I think the concepts made in Game of Thrones with the White Walkers is so cool. And the build-up to the long night was amazing. I really loved it. I loved the Night King breaking down the wall. And again, that kid part of my brain, after this episode aired and the Night King was dead instantly by Arya, whatever, I thought that they'd show up in King's Landing at the final fight, like, there are the walkers and we're gonna have to fight together, turn their shields from each other, to fight the dead. But I mean, that didn't happen, obviously. It just seemed like the main antagonist of the show was thrown out in one episode after 8 seasons of build-up. And for what? So we could go fight Cersei and have Dany become evil? I don't know. It was really silly, in my opinion, but I mean, hopefully in 10 years we get a remake of the show. I would love that if we could, try again. That would be really nice. What really made me love the show, though, was, it wasn't the action. There really wasn't a lot of action in the show. I mean, don't get me wrong, the action scenes were really cool, but it was the characters. I mean, I still think, like, after watching the show again, that scene between King Robert and Cersei just talking about their marriage, it's one of the best scenes in the show, man. And honestly, pretty much nothing after season 5 has that level of character, Everything's just cock and balls and tits. It's not an intelligent show anymore. You don't feel that in the writing. And I mean, we know that George R.R. Martin didn't finish the books, and D&D ran out of material, so everything had to become cocks and balls and tits. But I don't know, it really felt like they just wanted to get the show done so they could move on to the Star Wars project that they never fucking did. Right? Yeah, that was a fun time. I don't know, it just felt like they threw the show away and for nothing. Absolutely nothing. It was the best show on TV, and then, move on. Let's go do Star Wars, but not. I don't know. It was rough. I think back to Tywin. Tywin, he's like, it's really weird because Tywin dies in like episode 9 of season 4, I believe. And pretty much after Tywin's out of the show, it's all downhill from here, boys. I mean, there's still some good stuff in season 5 and 6. Like, you can see good stuff peeking through, but I mean, a lot of the storylines are just really bland and boring. I mean, did we really have to see the Sansa rape scene? Like, isn't that a little much? I mean, it couldn't just be implied. It seemed like they were just trying to reach and push the stakes higher and higher and have crazier stuff happening on screen. It didn't feel like that scene needed to be there. It felt like they just kind of added a bunch of stuff to make the episodes longer, even though there should be enough material to fill 10 episodes anyway, but they didn't feel that way for season 7 and 8. I don't know, man. I loved the show, and I'm enjoying this rewatch because I get to see my girlfriend's perception of the show, and so far she hasn't seen any of the problems yet. That's not true. She has seen a couple things. She's been like, well, how did that guy get there? Like, I think she was talking about Theon being able to get to the Iron Islands in like a couple days in the show. It doesn't make any sense, and that's just one of the problems with the show at this point. Is in season 1 it took Robert and everybody from King's Landing like a month and a half or 2 months to get to Winterfell, and now people are just teleporting all over the place so they can get to where they need to be so the story can continue. I don't know, I think that's another point where they kind of lost the plot. Like, I mean, during the recruitment scenes for Jon in the North, and granted, the North isn't as big of a distance between places, but when they're trying to recruit people for the Battle of the Bastards, they're just kind of showing up in random places, and it doesn't feel like any time's going by between them showing up in these random places, because everything else just feels like it's at a standstill around the world. Arya and Braavos, and Daenerys at Cal Mordum, and Marine, and I'm gonna be honest. I know a lot of people like the Faith storyline in season 5 and 6. Once Tommen becomes king, and I do like the idea that people are starting to rise up against Tommen because he's such a laid back king because he doesn't want to be compared to his brother. I do like that, but it's done to such an unbelievable level, in my opinion, with the High Sparrow. I just, it's, maybe it makes sense to some people, but in my head, I see the High Sparrow and I'm just like, why don't they just kill him? Like, sure, they'd probably have a lot of peasants that are like, oh, you shouldn't have done that, rise up, you know? But they don't care. They shouldn't care. Cersei and Jaime have never cared about anybody other than themselves because of season 8. Remember? They're the only two people in the world. That's another thing, but, you know. I don't know. Jaime killed the Mad King for the people, but he doesn't care about the people. Sure. Whatever. I mean, he looks at the people with disgust during this whole arc with the High Sparrow. I find that whole arc to be completely unbelievable, in my opinion. I think that the whole thing would have been shut down instantly. The Sparrows would have been dead because, you know, they're walking around, they don't have armor on, dude. And they're supposed to be going up against actual knights. I find it unbelievable. I do. And maybe I'm wrong for that. That's fine. You can point that out to me in the comments, but I just feel that there's so much wrong with the show, and the Sparrow arc is one of those things for me. Another problem I have with the show is it seems like they kind of ran out of important things for characters to do post season 4. Like, for example, in season 5, when we have the little side plot for Jaime, his whole thing is learning how to fight again. But him losing his sword hand was supposed to be kind of representative of a way to move past that part of himself, right? But now it's just learning how to fight again. So now he's getting sent over to Dorne to go do stuff. I mean, he has to go save his daughter. I actually don't even remember her name. She's so unimportant in the show. She left in like season 1 and now she's back and then she dies. So who cares, right? Who cares? You know, we have Tommen and Joffrey, who are really cool characters with their own like motivations and aspects to themselves, but this girl, I can't remember her name. She just kind of sucks. She shows up as a kid, talks shit to Tyrion, gets sent over to Dorne, and then 5 seasons later, Jaime and Bronn are sent over to go save her after Pedro Pascal dies, and then she dies anyway. Okay. Sure. Who cares? Whatever. It's just little things like that, you know? And I do want to point out there are real highlights of the show post season 4. Like, I mean, the Battle of the Bastards is probably the best fight in the show. And even in season 8, there's still good stuff. Like, I mean, we have, especially in those first 2 episodes, Jaime knighting Brienne. That was a great scene. You have Jon finding out from Sam that he is a Targaryen. Incredible scene. The music was good. The delivery between these 2 friends who have known each other since season 1 is really powerful stuff. It just seems like they have these really good moments, but then there's everything else in between. And if you trimmed the fat of all that stuff in between, you'd have like 5 or 6 episodes of peak stuff, but you don't have 4 more seasons of it, you know? And like I said earlier, it's just cock, balls, tits. Right? I mean, Tyrion, one of my favorite characters in the show, butchered. He doesn't make a single good decision post season 5. And the whole point of the show is that people who make bad decisions are killed. But no, Tyrion makes it to the very end. And it just makes me angry because he was the character that we were supposed to relate to. You know, he is the really smart person in this world who gets by because he's smart. But that's thrown away for cock, balls, and tits. Cool. Really cool. Who else do we got? Daenerys. Do I even need to say anything about Daenerys? Okay, I'll say some stuff about Daenerys. Daenerys, and I was really trying to look through this rewatch to see if there were signs of her kind of losing it. And honestly, not really. A lot of people say that because she executes Sam's dad and brother, that's making it seem like she is headed for evil. No. Every single important character has had to carry out executions because that's what you do in this world. It's literally part of being a leader in Game of Thrones. But no, because Dany does it, it's foreshadowing to her being evil. No, it's not. She's a great person up until season 8, and then she comes over to, Westeros, and nobody likes me because I need to be a villain, so we have to come up with a reason for me to kill millions of people. Oh, everybody likes Jon, but nobody likes me, and I'm here, and I brought on my whole army, and I was here to help. And now I'm a villain. For no reason. And I've seen, I think Cosmonaut Variety Hour is who I watched his video on Game of Thrones. He made a great point. If you completely removed the Bells of Surrender from episode 5, The Bells, Dany destroying the city would make a lot more sense. But, I mean, they don't do that. Because, like he said, Dany either just keeps destroying the city, or she kind of gives up. Because, I mean, she can't just not take over the city. That was her whole point. But if they're ringing the bells of surrender, this good-hearted person shouldn't hear the whole city's given up. It's all good. I'm gonna kill you all anyway. What are we doing? Really, what are we doing with that? If you wanted to make Daenerys evil, you could. But they didn't do it correctly. I don't know why you'd want to make Daenerys the final villain. I don't know why we wouldn't have just made the White Walkers the final villain of the show. Like, think about it this way. Why did we save Cersei as, the final big fight of the show? Why didn't we, take care of Cersei and then do the White Walker stuff? You could have had Cersei taken out in the end of season 7 if you kept the extra 3 episodes you should have had. And then we could have had an entire season dedicated to the living versus the dead. This insanely climactic, story that we've been focused in on since the first scene of the show. The very first scene of the show is ice zombies. And they're just gone in an episode. because Arya snuck up on White Walkers and stabbed the Night King. I don't even know what to say. It's sad, man. It really is. I do want to reiterate that there is good stuff here, but there is so much shit that it ruins it. And that's why it took me so long to rewatch the show. Because I didn't want to, because I knew what was coming. But with House of the Dragon, and with it being, you know, my girlfriend's first time watching the show, I decided to give it a go. And, you know, we're still going. Again, we haven't reached season 7 or 8 yet. But I'm really feeling the drag. I'm feeling bad shit on the way. And I'm feeling bad shit now with season 6. And it really is just sad because those first 4 seasons, I struggle to think of any problem with any of them. Every scene had a purpose. You know, Littlefinger showing up to see Tywin, and Arya's the cupbearer, but Littlefinger knows that Arya is Arya and not just some girl, but he doesn't tell Tywin. He saves that for when he sees Sansa on the ship in season 4 and says, "I've seen your sister recently." Or no, it was season 3. Season 3 or 4. He says to Sansa, "I've seen your sister recently." He doesn't say where, but we know it was when he was with Tywin. Every scene was building to another scene. And now it's, whoa, this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. It's and then storytelling. It's too bad that this is what we got for Game of Thrones. Because it was a show that was special. It was a show that mattered, right? I'm probably going to do another one of these for The Walking Dead, because that's another show that meant a lot to me growing up. It was actually the show that gave me nightmares when I was like 8. And that's another show that just kind of fumbled the bag in the end. Oh, and it's still a corpse, but it really is too bad about Game of Thrones, because it was something really special that just kind of got thrown away for nothing. And I really do hope that in the next 10, 15 years we're going to get, you know, the new books released. I hope George R.R. Martin releases Winds of Winter, I think is what he's at. And then I assume that's probably going to be the last one he releases. And then hopefully we get A Dream of Spring, which I think is the last one. Just from somebody else. Just somebody who finishes the story in a satisfying way, and then we can redo Game of Thrones. Because it really is a story that deserves that. And I would be okay with, you know, starting fresh, having a new cast, and doing it right the whole way through this time. Yeah. That's what I want. House of the Dragon, by the way, I watched that. It's a great show. It's really good. It does make me a little worried that we're not going to get that remake sooner than I'd like, but what I'm hoping for with these little prequel shows, because they're doing A Night of the Seven Kingdoms as well, I'm hoping that they do, like, this is the beginning, right? Like, we're past the first Game of Thrones. Like, this is the beginning, House of the Dragon, and then we're going on to keep doing House of the Dragon until we get to the end of that, We're going to finish A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, and then at the very end of that, we're doing A Song of Ice and Fire, right? Or a Game of Thrones, and we're just going to restart or reboot the series. I think that could be the way we're heading, because they know that they screwed up. They know that the ending isn't what it should have been, and because of the perception of House of the Dragon, a lot of people like it, a lot of people gave it a chance and enjoyed it. I'd be willing to bet a lot of people would be willing to give them another chance to reboot A Song of Ice and Fire once they finish up these prequel stories they're telling, like House of the Dragon and A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, and whatever else they have in store for us. I really do believe that there's a chance for A Song of Ice and Fire to get the attention it really deserves. Anyway, that's the end of this video. Thank you all very much for watching. Let me know what you think of this new format. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.